What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, I want to speak on an article that was recently an interview that LeBron James gave, right? He gave it in, I think it was called basketballnetwork.com. It was called basketballnetwork.com. And basically LeBron James was speaking about how the game has evolved since his rookie year in 2003. And with LeBron James, before LeBron James, in my opinion, started giving like a whole bunch of he spoke in person. Like for the most part, LeBron James didn't make a whole lot of public statements, right? But lately, over the years, LeBron James has been making more public statements. But before he was making a lot of public statements, like you used to hear commentators and people talk about like how knowledgeable LeBron James was about the history of basketball. And the more I hear LeBron James speak, the more I realize that that's not necessarily true. Not just hearing LeBron speak, but like watching his moves, like the way he operate in the league. You know, like somebody with a knowledge of history of basketball wouldn't make some of the moves that LeBron James make, right? And so I'm going to use this article and push back on a lot of what's in this article. And so as you can see, the article says there were some athletic guys, but not the majority. LeBron James reflects on how the NBA has evolved since 2003, his rookie year, right? And so I'm gonna go into this article and read more of it, because now, in a sense, that is true as far as, you know, they're more athletic guys, right? But that is because, in my opinion, that's because of the power forward position has been taken out of the game. So you take all of the power forwards out of the game and most of the centers, and so you replace those guys with like two guards and small forwards, which are more athletic, right, than the power forwards. But LeBron James wants people to believe that because you have these, these guys in the league that are supposedly more athletic, that you're getting a better brand of basketball. And he's saying also he tried to paint himself in a picture where as though he's an athletic player, which I don't see LeBron James as being athletic. In my opinion, I think he's more so like not as athletic as somebody like a Dominique Wilkinson or somebody like a Sean Kemp, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, like guys who just like their athleticism is just off the charts. LeBron James' athleticism is not off the chart. LeBron James to me is more of like a power forward. He's more of like a Karl Malone type basketball player. Magic Johnson, like Magic Johnson to me wasn't really all that athletic, and neither was LeBron James. He was really strong. That's why I compare him to Karl Malone. But let me read some more of this article. The article says when LeBron James joined the professional ranks in 2003, he made his mark in the NBA quickly. Picked first overall by his hometown Cleveland Cavaliers, he hit the ground running. He proved to everyone he was the real deal with his elite court vision and awe-inspiring athleticism and a knack for scoring buckets. Now, when LeBron James first came to the league, they touted LeBron James as being more so of a point guard. But over the years, he proved that, he's shown, in my opinion, that he can score, but his court vision, I wouldn't consider LeBron James a better point guard than Magic Johnson. I don't consider him a better point guard than Jason Kidd. Those guys really they was exceptional. I don't even think he's a better point guard than what's the guy, Chris Paul. Now I think he's a better overall player than Chris Paul and Jason Kidd, but he's not a better point guard. You know, that like that's what those players specialize in being they're point guards. Magic Johnson is a point guard. Article goes on to say, however, what truly helped LeBron stand out was his physique. While most players take a while to build their bodies and adapt to the rigors of the 82-game schedule, LeBron was built like a tank from day one, standing at 6'9" and a weight of 250 pounds. He already had the physical tools to impact the game in a big way, right? So what I feel about that statement. Yeah, I mean, that's part of what he was bigger than everybody. And he was able to make an impact right away. And the thing about that is LeBron James, his game never evolved beyond that, right? He never developed a mid-range game because he was strong enough to just like bully past people. He never developed a turnaround jumper, or he never worked on his footwork because he just relied mainly on his strength, his size and his strength. So that was his size and his strength was basically his advantage. You know, that's what set him apart. And so he, for the last 20 years or 20 plus years in the NBA, that's what LeBron James has been relying on. I think LeBron James, in my opinion, probably would have been a better player, a more evolved player, had he worked on his game and developed some moves, improved his jump shot, his three-pointer. Not really his three-pointer, because I don't really like the three-pointer for a big man, because that takes away from their aggressiveness, right? And sometimes LeBron James has been known to give up the big shots, and pass it off to his teammates. And they, people try to say, well, he made the best play. He hit the open man. Well, you don't usually want to see that from like your number one, your clutch player, right? And so that's where I would push back on that. Article goes on to say, speaking to skateboard legend Tony Hawk, LeBron James summarized today's NBA is a far cry from when he joined more than 2 decades ago, claiming that he joined the league in this era. His athleticism would no longer stand out, would just be another trait among many possessed by the other top league athlete players, right? So, like I said, the game has evolved, but in my opinion, it has not evolved, in the right way. You got smaller players on there, on the team. Nobody really protecting the rim. The big men, power forwards and centers, if you are a power forward or a stretch 4, stretch 5, and you can't shoot the ball, then you away from the rim, you're not going to be able to make it in the NBA today, because it's more finesse than anything. Like, it's either 3-point shots or it's a dunk, and that's today's NBA. Not a lot of defense. It's not a better game. That's even Kobe Bryant, amongst other players, just complained about like how the game of basketball is just it's boring. It's success by mistake. Like, you can't really, there's no game plan out there. Like, everybody is one-on-one. Everybody is just driving to the basket. Everybody's shooting a bunch of 3-pointers. Whoever shoot the best from the, behind the arc is usually the team that wins, but no strategy, no mid-range game. And so that's today's basketball game. That's why a lot of people are not really paying attention to today's basketball, NBA basketball. Now, the OKC Thunder, I like them because their star player, Shea, Gilchrist, right? This guy, his mid range game is like, I mean, is superior to, in my opinion, he got the best mid range game in the NBA today. And he proved that last season when he won the championship, when they won the championship, OKC did, right? Um, that mid-range game, it puts pressure on the opposition because they score almost every time down the floor because they always get a good shot. It's teams don't usually go on droughts when they have somebody who can really fill it up from the mid-range game. They might miss a couple baskets in a row, but you don't see teams go through like 4 and 5 minute droughts. And sometimes in the NBA today, like you see that teams will go 4 minutes, a 4-minute scoring drought, and that's just crazy. Guys are running up and down the court, missing 3-pointers, trying to see who's gonna get hot first, and that's just crazy. So let me read some more of this. Let me see. LeBron James says, let me see. I think you said it in the sense of just how creative the game is now compared to when I first came into 2 decades ago. He said on the main thing, right? Back then, it was a slower paced game. You had some athletic guys on the floor, but not the majority. LeBron continued. The league still had athletic freaks like Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, Vince Carter. However, those players were the exception, not the rule. Today's NBA, though, boasts high-flying and speedsters on every team. So, all right, just imagine, like, if you had a team full of Tracy McGrady's, or if you had a team full of Kobe Bryant's or Vince Carter, that means that you have weaknesses somewhere else, because Tracy McGrady is he's a small forward. They list him as a small forward 2 guard. Kobe Bryant, a 2 guard. What's the other guy? I'm looking at his name right here. Vince Carter. He's a small forward, 2 guard. So if you had a team full of Vince Carters, right, that would make your team very limited as to what they could do. You wouldn't have any you don't have any versatility. And so and if you look at all of their games, with the exception of Kobe did it all. Well, Vince Carter, all 3 of those guys did it all, because the era that they came in, you couldn't just dunk on people or just shoot threes. Now, by the time Vince Carter retired, Vince Carter was mainly a 3-point shooter, right? And also Vince Carter was a role player. But if you didn't have a mid-range game when those 3 guys hit the league, then your success in the league would have been limited. So that's what I think, game, and that is that's what he leave out. If he had studied the history of the game, LeBron James would know that you need all 5 of those positions: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. So your team, everybody has a role to do, and that just gives your team more diversity, right? And it makes your team more well-rounded. But he just, the game has evolved. It's changed, but it hasn't changed for the better. And if LeBron James want to take credit for that change, I wouldn't want to be the one standing up taking credit for that change, because the game has not been, it's not gotten better over his tenure or over his in his era. The game definitely has not gotten better. So that's why I pushed back on this article where LeBron James just said, he tried to make it seem like his athleticism, when he's not really all that really athletic. He's just big and strong, And so that's my take on LeBron James' article about him being him dominating because of his athleticism and his passing ability, right? And so that's all I got for right now. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next video.